Yeah, so I got my new phone finally, Mum. Yeah, no, I know, it's been a while. It's so good. No more of that foolishness though, yeah? No, don't worry. There's no more Lewandowski TikToks on here. Oh, man. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and welcome back to FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what the world of football has to offer during the last 7 days. So what's been kicking off in the world this week? The Euros. The Euros are kicking off. Nobody cares about anything else but anything that you see on the news. Good afternoon, our first story here. Can footballers getting down onto their knees be linked directly to the prostitution sector? Shut up. There's no need to talk to family. So I said, Janine, you don't need that extra wine. Do you know what I mean? Shut up. This is why she took the kids. Football is all you need. A lot has happened since, but Euro 2020 kicked off just over a week ago with a Group A demolition of Turkey by dark horses Italy. Someone said that Turkey was still defrosting. It's the first game of the tournament and you've played like uncles at a barbecue. They've just thrown on some barbers to make up the starting 11. So if someone could put me in contact with said starting 11, that would be appreciated. The match ball was delivered by a toy car for this first game. Somebody own up. Who's Nab Lorenzo Insigne's 4x4 here? The poor man's a pedestrian now. It takes him long enough to get places when he's the height of a 3-year-old. Pigeon. The ball itself must have had some pre-match nerves.
What have I got myself into? I am fucking shitting myself.
Turkey played so badly, you can pull up the match stats, and it'll say that the toy car had more possession of the ball. It's a serious problem when a man with a mustache on his face mask is your man of the match. But Italy were solid. It's not just about Turkey being poor. Giorgio Chiellini leading them to 2 victories in the group stages so far, despite having been 36 since 2009. But it's all well and good looking dangerous now. They don't compare to an England side that's already won Euro 2020. Well, you know, Scotland are favourites for the competition, so it's actually a good result. Who am I kidding? Lyndon Dykes up top looks like he's got here off a Make-A-Wish campaign. Alright, so Lyndon, talk to us. What do you want? I'd like to play for Scotland. Fucking hell. Who else have we got? Ollie McBurney? Oh, fucking hell. Lyndon, mate, get in the starting 11. A negative and simply unimaginative England performance saw them fall to a disappointing 0-0 draw with Scotland. This was such a conservative performance, I'm expecting to see half the squad deported next week about coming home. You're going home. Back to where you came from. It was such a predictable display. This fan at his TV pretty much sums it up.
Pass to Sterling, dickhead. There we go. Right, hang back. Sterling, pass it back. Sterling, pass it back. He's there. He's on side. Pass it to him. He's on side. Sterling, he's on side. Pass it to him. Don't dive. Fucking idiot!
Gareth Southgate, big man, I am on to you. He's one poor team performance away from calling up Nico Williams as another right back. He's Welsh, man. The man's frantically searching for Panama in the fixture list. And what has Jack Grealish done to him, apart from have a dead accent? I'm not being funny, but I reckon there's something in this, you know. He got punched. Gareth Southgate has worn a flat cap before. At least his Aston Villa manager Dean Smith is giving him some high praise. So high that he didn't even know what it meant.
Dean Smith also says you're an encyclopedia of football. Where does that come from?
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
But I genuinely don't understand. With the performances of our front three, the man's got his best front three sat on the bench. And speaking of that, Harry Kane is simply not firing. This man is missing. He's forcing this false 9 role business just a little bit too much at this stage. He's gonna have an impossible task explaining his role.
So what are you? Defence, attack, goalie? Bit of this, bit of that.
In fairness to Harry, it's not just him. He has gone missing in my opinion, but the service into him has been extremely poor. And to me, it looks like he's caught 50-50 in between wanting to drop deep as a false 9 and being instructed to just be a normal poacher. Because at the moment, his value and that move in the summer could be a lot cheaper.
£2,500.
Fuck off. £2.5 grand.
England fans may have been disappointed, but Scotland fans, on the other hand, were delighted. And not only were they dicking about in Leicester Square before kick-off, they were giving it large to Declan Rice at full time.
Shake belly, Gilmore! You're just a shake belly, Gilmore!
And honestly, they played well. They forced a few saves out of Pickford, but they were compact and resolute at the back too. Coming into that game, Scotland had lost 2-0 to the Czech Republic in their first game of Group D, in part thanks to a wonder goal from striker Patrick Schick. What a journey. From bullying 12-year-olds online to scoring from the halfway line at the Euros.
Right, hello.
Scotland goalkeeper David Marshall has been done dirty with this picture. Him getting lobbed is making for excellent content, however. It would help if he hadn't positioned himself as an advanced playmaker from the corner, in fairness. I'm telling you now, football needs to be decided by style points. Score a bicycle kick, it's worth 3 goals. Will any scored from the halfway line here? Scotland need to forfeit the whole game. It's going slightly better for the other home nation at the tournament, and that's Wales, who after a 1-1 draw against Switzerland, beat Turkey 2-0 in their second group stage match to all but qualify for the knockout rounds. And I'm even more happy for Ben Davies, who appears to be expecting a child. Gareth Bale played well and set up both the goals, but was remembered at one point during this game for an absolutely shambolic penalty. So I'm stood at the wine cellar with Janine, right, and for fuck's sake, the man thought he was on the driving range. Wales were playing so good that even their goalkeeper, Danny Ward, was feeling confident. But you were lucky if you even saw that piece of action in this one, because the UEFA live feed was absolutely atrocious. Really and truly, I have to question whether the BBC even have their own TV license. Over in the group of death now, and it's as unnecessarily close as an Anis-on boxing match. France opened up with a 1-0 victory over Germany in game week 1. Antonio Rudiger caught the headlines for having a nibble at Paul Pogba. Now, it's all well and good this happening, but you've got to ask, why is Paul Pogba put his shoulder there? Meanwhile, after being left out of the French side due to poor domestic form, Anthony Martial was trying his absolute hardest to be noticed by the French manager. Germany, though, then bounced back with a 4-2 victory in a Euros classic against Portugal. Nelson Semedo defended like he was figuring out whether his oven had been left on. Cristiano Ronaldo is about to pack this man in a suitcase and send him back to Wolverhampton. Ruben Diaz and Rafael Guerrero put the ball in the back of their own net before half-time. Own goal is about to win player of the entire tournament here. Interesting to note that Ruben Diaz dropped a stinker without John Stones next to him. So after all of the debate, it's not actually Diaz who makes Stones, it's Stones who makes Diaz. And you know who John Stones plays for? England! It's coming home, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, this security guard before the game was taking no chances. Do you not know who I am? Oh, of course, you're that Lionel Messi fella. Oh, get out of here. And Cristiano Ronaldo was causing headlines after Coca-Cola related controversy, because unlike a banker's house party, he was moving Coke off the table. Before sitting down in a press conference, he appeared to move 2 Coke bottles out of view and off the table, and for some reason the entire world has gone mental about it. Shares of Coca-Cola have gone down dramatically, their social media team are in complete disarray, and Kylie Jenner's about to swoop out of nowhere and save the day with a Pepsi. Ukrainian forward Andrei Yarmolenko had his say.
А можно я кое-что сделаю? Ну, там, я видел, там, Роналдо убрал Кока-Колу, знаешь, я поставлю Кока-Колу, поставлю Хайникен, свяжитесь со мной.
Meanwhile, world champions France were shell-shocked by group underdogs Hungary as they were held to a 1-1 draw in Budapest. And Hungary even took the lead in this game. That was followed by a WWE-themed celebration. You know what? It's just great to see a full house and a full crowd at a football match again. 60,000 Hungary fans in one stadium. No, Marcus, I mean, as in the country. They're not. France were beyond underwhelming in this one. Karim Benzema's having a stinker of a tournament so far. Meanwhile, Ousmane Dembele came on in the second half, only to be substituted back off the pitch half an hour later. In fairness, that's the longest he's gone without getting injured in approximately 3 years. Now, I haven't talked too much about Group B, and that's because events in it and in all of Game Week 1 really and truly were completely overshadowed by the shocking scenes between Denmark and Finland, as Inter Milan and former Tottenham midfielder Christian Eriksen collapsed, having had a cardiac arrest live on the pitch. Now, having collapsed, heroic Denmark captain Simon Kjær intervened to stop him swallowing his own tongue, and medical teams had to resuscitate him on the pitch in front of fans and his teammates. It was gut-wrenching and sickening for a few hours, hours until we heard that Christian was okay and stable in hospital. Now, first of all, I know I haven't talked about it too much. It's because I wanted to wait to the proper opportunity to do so, but I'm just so happy that he seems to be making somewhat of a recovery. But I would also like to say I'm disgusted by UEFA forcing Denmark to play again that same evening. Now, technically speaking, they did give them the opportunity to either play that game that evening or the day after, but they are much of a muchness, really. Even more so the actual live UEFA feed, which was showing intimate filming of medical attention to the point where Denmark had to shield their stricken teammate just to avoid details being shown on the big screen. Now, I was with a guy who works in football at the time this was happening, and he explained to me that going back to the studio, like a lot of people were wanting, would actually have been counterintuitive, because what are the pundits gonna say in a situation like this? You're gonna go back to them, they can't talk about the game because that doesn't matter anymore. They're gonna run out of things to say within 10 seconds, and it's just like throwing them under the bus. What should have happened was just showing stock footage of the stadium and just broadcasting a live feed that was so far away from the incident that you couldn't see what was really going on. What it definitely shouldn't have been doing was filming loved ones like his girlfriend by the pitch. Whoever was directing this, sacked them immediately. Once again though, the most important thing is that Eriksen is okay, seemingly fully recovered, and he's now been fitted with a heart device. Whether he'll play again is a different question, but I hope we get to see him doing whatever he enjoys doing very soon. Now, in Group C, the Netherlands and Ukraine played out one of the games of the tournament, with the Dutch coming out 3-2 victors in the end. Yarmolenko scored an absolute screamer. It was so good that the Netherlands fans even had to applaud, and it was almost a high-profile scalp for the Ukrainians, of which their fans brought a restaurant menu. I'm going to assume here then that the Netherlands weren't in stock. In the Netherlands' other game so far against Austria, and a set of fans were watching the game on a big screen, their next-door neighbours were out in the garden watching on a 30-second delay, and there's only really one thing you can do in that situation. Celebrate like you've scored a goal, and then watch their reaction when it turns out you haven't. Meanwhile, for North Macedonia, and they're the real outsiders in this group, so with a potential lack of quality, you'd expect them to really be putting in the hours, putting in a shift, and really leaving it all out there in training. I'll be honest with you lads, these lot have created all the entertainment. With this slightly overused drum being used in the crowd, you're just hitting air at this point, big man. And one of their starters bringing plimsolls to one of the biggest tournaments in the world. I can't wait to witness his teammate Alioski in his Timberlands. This Finland fan gets a 10 out of 10 for dedication to the aerial challenge. They've got one win on the board, but Russia are definitely finding life difficult without the use of performance-enhancing steroids. And now though, for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, they might not be in the tournament, but they're still providing some excellent content in Euro 2020. An extraordinary amount of rain in their training ground meant that they literally had to abandon the entire session because the pitch was completely waterlogged. I rate the Austrian players making the most of it though. We've had the most entertaining point for each team in the tournament, so I guess next up we move on to Spain. And now on to Sweden, where 20-year-old striker Alexander Isak has been getting attention, most notably from BBC presenter Gary Lineker. However, when asked about said positive reaction, Alexander Isak didn't even know who Gary Lineker was. The poor kid's gonna Google Lineker because he doesn't know what it is, and he's gonna stumble upon this man. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Away from the Euros now, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah, that's too soon after the injury. Well, he's got a new trim. Ah, for crying out loud. He's got injured once and he's had a SoundCloud rapper crisis. Continuing on a Liverpool theme, I suppose, and Adrian has been offered a new contract at the club in an act of footballing terrorism. And as the ongoing story of Tottenham's search for a new manager for the 26th week in a row, they've been declined by Antonio Conte, and now the deal for ex-Roma manager Fonseca is off as well. There are genuinely cobwebs on the managerial seat at the new Tottenham Stadium. You could not make this up. They've now gone after Gennaro Gattuso, who'd spent just 22 days in charge at Fiorentina before walking away from the club. Who have you even managed in that situation? The players are on holiday. Apparently he resigned over a lack of transfer strategy at the Serie A club. Why is he gonna go to North London? Tottenham don't have a strategy in general. Apparently appointing him's no longer on the cards either. Spurs trying to summon managers like Steve McLaren summons his players. At this rate, it's gonna be a scene when they have to reappoint Ryan Mason on a permanent.
Come on. Yeah? Daily offender. Crazy stand-up.
In Spain now, and as the news that Sergio Ramos is going to leave Real Madrid at the end of this season. Straight off the bat, and former Barca legend Ronaldinho chimed in, asking if he remembered this night where the Brazilian completely slapped him about. Sergio then replied, asking Ronaldinho whether he remembered this night just a few months later. Bun it, 1-1. It's a shithousery award for both of you. Share it or something. Over in North America, and Canada reached the World Cup qualifiers against Haiti. They did it thanks to perhaps the worst own goal in human history.
LaFrance. Two center backs being good tonight for Haiti. Oh no, look out! What a mistake! Can you believe that happened? Oh my word!
There's the football Twitter related news where a man has been genuinely identified to have the first name Millwall. How? I'm sorry. This man simply has to have been born during a bar fight. If his milk bottle wasn't just filled with Carling from birth, I will be surprised. Honestly, shouts to this guy. Look, I'm calling my child Queen's Park Rangers. There's no rules anymore. Over in the Middle East, and there's this commentator who's seen a woman so beautiful in the crowd that he's lost all composure and decided to start singing to her. Meanwhile, in a game between Malaysia and Vietnam, we've got this penalty decision. What kind of technology is the referee using for this one? Braille. In Colombia, and we've got the greatest free kick routine in human history. I don't even really have anything funny to say. I think I'm pregnant now, but... Meanwhile, in the Vanarama National Playoff Final, Torquay faced off against Hartlepool United. And in the final minute of additional time, Torquay's goalkeeper went forward and scored an equaliser with his noggin to send the game to extra time. It was limbs for Torquay fans. They did lose on penalties, but we don't need to talk about that. Now that it is time for Still at 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is the segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And this week we've got one of the most dramatic ends to a season ever. FC United of Manchester's Youth Academy were down 4-0 in the final game of the season. All they needed to do was draw the game and they would win their youth league. Into the second half, they've got 3 goals back. Step forward Favour Balaji, who in the 97th minute brought his side back from 4-0 down to draw the game 4-4 and win the league title in the final kick of the match. On to the weird stuff though now. It was a disappointing week for Cambodia's national team, who were edged out in defeat 10-0 over the weekend. And finally, there's the story of ex-Hoffenheim manager Lutz Pannenstiel this week, suggesting that he discovered Roberto Firmino on Football Manager. He didn't know anything about the player, but collected a lot of statistical data from the game. Lutz himself, however, found a tweet and, well, it looks like maybe that's not the case. Guessing it was FIFA career mode instead. Am I right, boys? That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.